Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week's discussion is my third and final part of a three-part series on Legend of the Five Rings. I will be discussing stories from the setting, some of these stories behind how some of these came to be, and I will be discussing a little bit about the long-running living campaign, Heroes of Rokugan. Because this, to me, is what sets Legend of the Five Rings apart from other games out there. That so much of the setting, key moments of the setting, were determined not by someone sitting in a corporate office somewhere, but by the actions and decisions of the players. And this, to me, is what a role-playing game should be all about. So sit back, relax, and enjoy these stories. There was a card for the Mantis, their standard bearer, Yoritomo Furike. This card had a specific ability on it. The ability was, if Yoritomo Furike were killed, he would return back to the battlefield immediately bowed. Why would someone give a card this ability? Well, there's a little bit of dispute. I've heard two different versions of this story. But apparently, there was a Mantis player at a major tournament. And between rounds, he got hit by a car. He checked himself out of the hospital, according to some accounts. Others are that it wasn't a major injury and he was just inconvenienced a little bit. But I like he checked himself out of the hospital. Came back to the convention center, to the game, and finished his matches. Finished out the tournament. And so, a card was named for him, or named in his honor. And they made it so his character, his card, could not die in the game. And again, that's cool. This is the sort of thing, again, I loved about the old Legend of the Five Rings. That they would do things in the game to honor the actions of players. That odd things happen, and they're going to make a card out of it somehow. Or it's going to end up part of the story. And that is why I continue to love this setting. So, what else do we have to talk about? Let's see. One of the final storylines that AEG had done before selling the intellectual property of Legend of the Five Rings to Fantasy Flight was the Destroyer War. This was a major storyline. This was a story where, in a region far to the south of Rokugan called the Ivory Kingdoms, a cult had sacrificed the entire population that they could get their hands on, which was most of the population except for some people on some islands. And they did this to empower a dark deity. And this deity led a army of demons, broke through the Great Carpenter Wall, the champion of the crab had to commit seppuku to atone for his failure, his clan's failure, to stop this. And that is not the story I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is one of the sub-storylines. There was this beast, this great, powerful beast that was brought in. And its purpose was to smash through any and all defenses. And as far as anyone saw, it was completely unstoppable. The last stand against it was fought on the plains out in front of Ryoku Awaritachi. At this battle, all the great clans and the spider fought. And the spider had a scout. A small entity. A goblin. It took the name Gaku. This is important. Goblins do not normally have names. Gaku did. Gaku had a name because Gaku wanted to be human. Gaku, every aspect he did, everything he did was to emulate the humans he saw. So he took a name. He used armor. He used human weapons. But he was still a goblin. And for the most part, the spider didn't really think of him that highly. Because he was a goblin. He was a pretentious goblin because he acted human. But while the clan itself in the fiction treated him as little more than something disposable, the players had grown to love this being. Because he was so different. He turned the stereotypes on their heads. Now, how they determined who killed the God Beast was through a card game tournament. The winner of this particular tournament got to determine which character in the setting killed the God Beast. This could have been any character. They could have picked the pacifist daimyo of the Asahina family, Asahina Beniha, to kill the God Beast, and somehow she would have. The person who won it, though, the person who won this right, chose Gaku. Of all the characters they could have chosen, they chose this being. And Gaku did. He stole a clay jar from the hands of the current general for the spider forces at this battle. This jar contained blood of Fulang. The purpose of this was that it would weaken, maybe even outright kill, the God Beast. But it would definitely weaken it enough that it could be killed. And so, Gaku grabbed this jar, ran, scaled up the god beast, through its thick hide, its claws, the arrows sticking out of its hide, went all the way up to the top, went to throw the vial, the jar, into the god beast's mouth, lost control, and fell in himself. This was successful. This was also an extremely samurai way for this being to die. Because Gaku, who aspired to be human, completed a samurai's last duty. The duty of a samurai, the ultimate duty of a samurai, is to die for their lord. And that is what Gaku did. Now, some will say that, after he was metamorphosed because of all this stuff that happened, that he's not really dead. But what came out of the god beast wasn't Gaku. So I'm going to ignore the whole thing about the metamorphosis of Gaku. As far as I'm concerned, the actual Gaku died when he was devoured by the god beast with a jar containing the blood of Fu Lang. But, of course, there's always more stories to come. I've had the privilege several times now to play in the battle interactives for Heroes of Rokugan at GenCon. Now, this year, the lead up to the battle interactive was that the crab and the lion were at war. And the crab refused to engage with the lion. They kept pulling back, forcing the lion to keep following them. And the crab withdrew to the city of Kudamura. This is an important city symbolically for the crab, because this is a city that, in every war that the crab have fought, has never fallen. It's even said that the city cannot fall to a force outside of the crab. And so the crab secured, fell back into the city, built up the defenses, and waited for the lion to come to them. Now, at the political interactive before this, the crab and the lion were both trying to get the different clans to side with them. Now, my character was a crane. The result of this was that the Crane clan as a whole had sided with the lion. And my character could not side with the lion. Character had reasons, but the character could not side with the lion. Rather than undertake a Musha Shugo, a warrior's pilgrimage, my character chose to join for this battle the Imperial Legions, the Imperial Observation Force. That they're there to make sure the battle was fought fairly, stuff like that. And my unit with it, my table, was assigned to help the lion. And that was not something my character liked, but my duty said I had to do it. So, okay. Thing is, everyone at this table was from a clan that had sided with the lion, but they personally did not agree with what their clan had done. And so, as a group, we made a decision to take the choices that would technically fulfill our duty, but would help the lion the least. Because of this, we were able to keep the lion from scoring very high. Because the battle was so close that had we not made a decision as a table to keep taking the lowest advantage to the lion missions that we could believably take, it could have given the lion the edge. As it was, the crab barely squeaked out defending the city. It was a hard-fought battle, and the city of Kudamura did not fall, because Kudamura never falls. But because of where things were, because the crab technically had like a 3-point score above the lion, but it was still so close that the decision, the storyline, ended it with their champions meeting on the field of battle, shouting challenges to each other, rushing at each other, and killing each other with the same strokes. My table caused the death of 2 clan champions. And I kind of like that. That out of these dozens, out of this couple dozen tables, one table swung the storyline. One table, acting just like their characters would, affected the storyline for a living campaign. And that is the sort of thing that, again, keeps me in love with Rokugan, with Legend of the Five Rings, with the setting, with the stories, with the groups. Now, I could go into all the finer details of this battle, because it was awesome. We had a dragon who would actually put people in a headlock and knock them out. Then there was me trying to talk the crab forces into surrendering so he wouldn't have to kill them. Because my character's an Asahina, and I didn't want to engage in needless bloodshed. Because even though I'm a Bushi, I'm still a bit of a pacifist. So that was a fun thing. Especially the GM's reaction when I tried to convince the crab to put down their weapons and not die. that's beside the point. This was an awesome battle. Just like every Battle Interactive the Heroes of Rokugan does. I look forward to the next time I'm able to compete and participate in one of these massive battle interactions. But, for now, this is all I have to talk about. If you liked this channel and liked this discussion, please click like and subscribe down below. Next week, I am planning to talk about the Highlander collectible card game. Just because I want to dig out something obscure to talk about. I look forward to seeing you all then. Until then, have fun and keep gaming.